Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to this week's episode of Heal and Grow with Nikki. This week, we get to meet my special guest, Zoe Courneya. Zoe is a 1983 baby and at 40 this year has lived many lives and done many a thing. She started off as a dancer at ballet arts, which soon made her realize that what she loved was being on stage. Someone took a chance on the 13-year-old with braces and cast her as the vegetable seller in Madeline's Rescue at the Children's Theater. Most noteworthy of her first professional show, her costume consisted of a chest plate with fake saggy boobs to make her appear older. When she was applying for colleges, she had her eyes set on one college and one college only, Carnegie Mellon. When she was waitlisted, the world seemed to turn upside down, but luck should have it that she booked shows in the Twin Cities pretty quickly. A production of The Play About the Baby at the Old Theater Garage kickstarted her post-high school career. Things seemed to catapult from there. At 19, she was named one of the top 10 actors under 30 in the Twin Cities by the Pioneer Press. She remembers sitting backstage during a production of Floyd Collins at Theater Latte Da, saying to a colleague, "Chanhassen Dinner Theaters is doing Grease. If they don't cast me in this, they're not going to cast me in anything." She went on to play Rizzo, Eponine, Ulla, and Ariel in Footloose, all at Chanhassen Dinner Theaters. At 26, she wanted to find something that could be a side gig, something that would help in calming her ever-growing anxiety and depression, and something that made her feel confident, strong, and healthy. She found yoga, and life was never the same. After she became a yoga teacher, she continued to perform. And then she met the dude. Jonas was a helicopter pilot in the Army, and he lived in Alabama. She was quick to drop everything she knew, her career, the city she grew up in, her 2 cats, and being close to her family. Less than a year later, after performing as Eva Perón with Latte Da, she moved to Hawaii with Jonas, where he was first stationed. Over the 6 years there, she learned a great deal. One of those years, Jonas was deployed to Afghanistan to fly helicopters in the war. It was one of the most traumatic and devastating times in her life. She was lucky to see him come home. In 2014, they got married. At the end of 2016, they finally moved back home. They bought a house a year later. They now have 2 incredible girls aged 5 and 2, Lucy and Charlie. Currently, Zoe is a hustler. She works as a travel agent, specializing in Disney vacations. She creates social media content for Princess Party Pals. And in January, she celebrated 14 years as the radio voice for My Talk 107.1. Zoe is ill, and it hurts to make that statement. Interestingly enough, she and Nikki have lived a very paralleled existence over the past couple of years. As shitty as it is to be grieving, experiencing, and grappling with chronic illness that has been undiagnosed for the majority of her life, she is incredibly grateful that she has her buddy of 20 years who really, truly gets it. Zoe's favorite fruit is honeydew. She loves everything about holidays and decorating and celebrating. She finds joy in picking out a cute outfit for the morning. The office is everything. She enjoys finding the perfect gift for someone, writing and snail mailing cards for special occasions, and engaging in a little surprise and delight. Cupcakes, feta cheese, guacamole, and buffalo sauce have a special place in her heart, but not all together. Some of her heroes include Mark Brackett and Brene Brown. She has been mistaken for Jenny Slate multiple times. She's a baker, singer, designer, a lover of curating an aesthetic, a comedian, and an active participant in her own healing and self-discovery. Zoe is not showing up today with a success story. She is not a polished version of herself. She's currently sitting in the question, trying to get back to herself, having more moments of suffering than freedom. And she's trying to live by her favorite quote by the one and only Ted Lasso. For herself and for everyone she meets, be curious, not judgmental. If there's one thing that Zoe thinks could heal the world, it's connection. Honest, true, rich, deep connection. Let's do this. Welcome to Heal and Grow with Nikki. I'm your host, Nickiekrommingahill. Here we talk about everything: grief, hope, illness, work, family, tragedy, possibilities, fun stuff, and not so fun stuff. It's all on the table. Let's take a look at our lives and work to heal and grow together. I'm so glad you're here. Zoe, hi.
Hi.
Y'all, Zoe's here. Now, I need you to know something, everybody. Zoe's been here for like an hour, and about 7 times we said, we should be recording this. So we've been talking for a very, very long time about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Hi. I don't know I don't know who's new here. We have a dog. My husband and I have a dog named Snowball. Mm-hmm. She likes to make...
I'm looking at her right now through the stairwell. She's eyeing me.
She's probably going to start crying. And if that happens, we just let her do that, because crying is allowed. However you feel is fine and valid.
Yep. I validate Snowball's feelings.
Oh, there's her little... You could hear a little chain.
Aww.
Zoe brought crumble cookies, y'all.
Yes.
Have you had crumble cookies? Audience who can't talk back to me.
I thought you were asking me, and I was like, "Who do you think you're talking to?"
You've sent them to me before.
I know.
Oh, they're so good.
When I first saw them, I was like, they're too big, and then I'm like, no, I'm gonna crush that right now.
I'm gonna crush it right now. We maybe need to do a little taste test throughout.
I think that we should talk, and while one person is talking, the other person should be just like enjoying
the cookie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and then give our honest review.
We're gonna open it up. These are delicious. Okay.
See, they fell in the car a little bit. Whatever. They still.
Would you like to explain the cookies to everyone?
So they change. They're 4 or sometimes 6. It depends. Like they're weird, but they change flavors every week.
They look so good.
Oh my gosh. I'm smelling that one right now. So when my dear friends Kelsey told me that this milkshake with sprinkles.
My milkshake brings other boys to the yard.
This is one of my favorite things about your podcast, by the way, and it happened today. I paused it to go run and get you a coffee. Then I came out in the car and I turned it on, and all of a sudden I hear, "La," and I was like, oh, that's just Nikki singing.
I'm singing stuff.
Her podcast, which is one of my favorite things about you / like I feel like our community, just break out in song.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing. People break out in song and dance all the time.
100%.
100.
And if they don't,
bye-bye.
Get out.
We're not friends.
Bye. Milkshake. And then there's a strawberry cupcake, which is the pink frosting one. And then snickerdoodle. Like you can't. Yum. Okay, do you know the snoodle doodle? That's probably a bad story.
Snoodle doodle?
Yeah.
What's a snoodle doodle?
Someone on tour once from our community back in the day once heard someone in front of them ordering a snoodle doodle with paprika on it.
A snoodle doodle with paprika?
But they were
trying to say snickerdoodle?
Yeah, but they thought the cinnamon was paprika. They ordered a snoodle doodle with paprika on it.
Okay, but that reminds me of, what if we made deviled eggs with cinnamon on them?
Gross.
You're gross.
Wow. And on that note,
okay,
guys,
well, which one are we going to try?
Done. Oh, also galactic brownie.
Oh my God.
I'm going to try the one that I'm smelling right now, which is my milkshake brings
all the boys to the yard. Okay.
Do we get the job?
Well, yeah. Okay. So everyone listen to us grab a cookie.
Okay. Which one are you going to get?
I'm going to try snoodle with paprika.
Oh my gosh. This is going to be the best. Okay. See, the only thing about the big cookie is like, you really do need to kind of cut it sometimes in order to like get in there.
This is really good. I bet this is riveting to listen to.
All I know is I was staring at the cookie and talking, and I look up and roll. It was like a whole bit was in your mouth. That snickerdoodle is yummy.
Oh my God. Okay. So Zoe.
Yeah. Okay.
So as you heard in the bio just a few minutes ago.
Yep.
Zoe has done a lot of theater, and that is how we met, right?
Yep. Our first show together was, 2006 maybe? No, 4. Nope.
5?
Stop.
What was our first show? Grease?
Hair.
Oh, Hair.
2006 was Grease, so Hair was 2004.
Okay. Hair, then Grease, then the producers?
Nope. Hair, then Grease, then Joseph.
Oh yeah, Joseph. Joseph won.
Joe Fish. And then that's what Lucy calls it, my oldest daughter. Joe Fish. And then producers.
Okay.
Is it Is it? Oh, and then Footloose? No.
Yeah.
Is it weird to tell you that I don't know if I did Joseph too? I don't think I did.
I don't think you did it the second time.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.
I didn't do it the third time, which you all know about because I've already done an entire podcast on it.
I have to say this, and I called you and voice messaged you, I think, about this. But I, first of all, have had similar experiences, which sucks to say, but it also I think like just makes it so much more of a common experience. I know you shared that, like I think the podcast after, but
yeah,
I thought it was so freaking brave and cool of you to just get on the mic and just share a story that you said in the podcast. Like, I know this could be really shitty for me. And you went forth and you did it. And that to me is bravery, like to the utmost degree. You know, if you're feeling so freaking vulnerable and scared or whatever you're feeling, but it's like consequence is possibly there.
Yeah.
And yet you do it anyway because it has the potential to heal.
Yeah. So, thank you. Yeah. I feel like that's the only way that we can really make change in any type of community is you just have to speak up when things are wrong.
Yeah.
But what usually ends up happening then is that people get ostracized from the community.
Yep.
So anywho, we've decided to at least start with talking about Zoe's sobriety journey. Do you say sobriety? Or what do you say?
I mean, sorry, I've got cookie in my mouth. This, by the way, this milkshake cookie
is good.
It lives up to the song.
I could tell because there's a lot of boys in my yard right now.
Get out. I mean, I do call it sobriety because for me it is like, you know, being sober from alcohol, and that's kind of like the common phrase. I know some people don't. I was just in our pre-conversation. So long story short, about 4 years ago, it was like right when the pandemic hit, I kind of had a moment where I was like, you know, I don't know. Like my energy is really low. This is a really stressful time. I was kind of witnessing some of my friends like drinking on the daily, right? When like, you know, we had nothing to do with our lives. I started going for walks with one of my dear friends who wasn't really close with me at the time, but we became super close. And at one point during our walk, she had said something like, I'm going to take this online course from this woman named Laura McCohen, who does the Luckiest Club, which I think had just started, but she wrote a book called We Are the Luckiest, which I highly recommend.
Such a great book. So good.
So good. But what I loved about this concept that my friend was sharing with me was that this was just completely not associated with AA or any sort of like, I'm an alcoholic, which I've had times in my life when I've abused alcohol. I've had times in my life when I've completely abstained. And I've had times in my life when I've drank socially and completely what I would consider like more on a normal scale. And I just have never felt like, oh, I have a problem or, oh, I'm an alcoholic. And even if like those have been like, even if like maybe someone else would have said that if they were in my shoes, like they've just never resonated with me. So the idea that like one could get sober based off of like their experience with alcohol, but also more like not only that, but like, more so the idea of like, who do I want to be? And the question not being, am I or am I not an alcoholic, but does this help my life or like my vision of my life?
I think that question, because this is, I read Holly Whitaker's book. I already forgot what it's called. But
Quit Like a Woman.
Quit Like a Woman. And maybe in We Are the Luckiest. There's a couple books out there right now that don't follow any particular way, like correct way to stop drinking. But these books say, if you're asking yourself, am I an alcoholic? That's the wrong question.
Because what are your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear like why you think that that's the wrong question.
Because I think it focuses on the wrong thing. I think that focuses on how much alcohol am I consuming, as opposed to how is alcohol a benefit to my life,
right?
You know, and I know I used to get bogged down by the term alcoholic, like because that has a stigma attached to it, and I'll be honest, I took those online quizzes, you know, like, am I an alcoholic? But really the thing that started to shift it in my brain for me was the whole, like, how do you feel when you drink?
Yeah.
I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Because I drink too much.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. For me, the word does not matter.
Yeah. And I would go as far as to say that AA is very outdated. I think a person or a group of people could make a lot of money by revamping it because it is such an institution. But if you read Alcoholics Anonymous, I haven't read it through and through, so I apologize up front. But what I have read, what I have heard is super sexist and so old. It is just so old. But like, so it's very outdated, but also the idea of like, for me, if someone said to me like back in the day, are you an alcoholic? Like I would have turned the other way.
I think anybody would have.
Everyone would have been looking toward it. You know what I mean?
Yes. It immediately puts people on the defense.
So exactly. So I think it actually deters people from getting better.
I do too.
Which I hate. Because like, obviously you and I are in, our own individual worlds as well as like each other's world of like healing and growing at this stage in our life. But that feels so just wrong, just like awful. And I wish everyone would rethink the question so that they could find their own answers.
Yes.
Anyway, to go back, like this conversation, this friend sort of planted the seed. And I thought, oh my gosh, there are other thoughts out there, other ways of thinking. And so then, and I have struggled with depression and anxiety my whole life. Like that's something I feel like I've shared on and off in my life. And at this point, I'm like, whatever, everyone's going to know. And if they have something to say about it, then
who cares?
But I've always thought, like, obviously, like when you're depressed, you don't drink a depressant. Like no, like let's talk about the definition of dumb. Like, I'm sorry.
I know.
But, like,
no, you're right. You're
smart.
Right.
So
you're right.
It was never beneficial for me on a mental health level, but also I was feeling the physical level.
But it's not beneficial to anyone on a mental health level.
At all.
I know. I read the study yesterday that was like, it basically said, y'all, alcohol is never a good idea. There's
so true.
Never a moment where, and I'm not trying to lecture here. It's just like, I feel like we always try to justify, a glass of red wine with, never okay for us. Doesn't mean we don't want to do it, Right. Well, it's so, I think one of the hardest pieces too is not just the stigma behind alcoholism, but also how normalized alcohol is. Oh my God. I mean, the phrase, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or I need a drink. Like those are phrases Mama
that are
needs her juice.
Yeah, I know. Mommy juice.
Yeah.
Those, when I see those t-shirts at Target or whatever, I'm like, really guys, can we stop? Yeah. It's not cool. It's not funny. Yeah. I mean, whatever. Some people think it's funny. I don't. Right. I'm the last person to judge anyone, but my mom, who I love very, very much, used to say things like, it's poison. And my mom has been, again, sober, but I wouldn't have considered her sober from alcohol. She just doesn't drink. Yeah. She hasn't the majority of my life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but my mom was a major druggie in the 70s. She'll be the first to tell you that. And on a podcast,
gotta get you in here, Mary Jane.
Oh, you do. Oh gosh, that would be a podcast for the ages. But she used to, when we were in our 20s, me and my little sister would be like, you guys, it's poison. You're putting it in your bodies. And I'd be like, shut up. You're the worst, Mom. And she's so right. It's just the alcohol is never a good thing is also the same as alcohol is poison. You do you, boo, but alcohol is poison.
Yeah, right.
Again, I really am. If my husband drinks, I don't care if you drink. My dad drinks. Drink. It's fun. That's totally fine. Right. And the bottom line is, if you want to know what I think about alcohol in general, is it's not good for you. Right. So mental health, not good for anyone's mental health.
How long has it been for you?
It'll be 4 years next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And honestly, yay, I've been alcohol free, which I think has changed a lot in my life, but it has been very easy for me in regards to quitting and then staying away.
Because you quit during that challenge, right?
I quit 2 months into the pandemic.
Because speaking of walking with friends, I was one of those friends that you had to walk with, and that day was 30 days for you. No. Yeah, you said I'm just finishing up a 30-day challenge. Yeah. Today is the last day, and I'm going to keep going.
I think I challenged myself to a month, and then I was like, I'm going to just do month by month, because I wasn't going to say never. That was dumb. Yeah. But I also wasn't going to be like, hey, if this is feeling good. Like, again, dry January, do it. Cool. That's awesome.
Yes.
Also, if it feels good, then why go back?
Right. Keep going.
I think the hardest piece for me were when people ask questions that were none of their business.
Like what kind of questions?
Like almost immediately, someone in my family was like, "Why are you doing this?" Like almost judgmental, and I was like, like,
yeah,
because there were so many answers, and none of them were his business.
Right.
And I felt put on the spot, and I felt like it was almost a question of like, "This is ridiculous. Why are you not drinking? You're supposed to drink." Like that's how it sounded to me in my brain, and I remember that moment because I was mad. Like I was mad under my discomfort and like fear of having to answer a question that I didn't want to answer. And I did. I remember I was just like stumbling through it. But that happened a lot. Or like people, I hate this. Welcome to the world. Guys, it's 2024. Please stop asking women if the reason they're not drinking is because they're pregnant. Yep. Screw you. Like, come on, you guys. Like, and it didn't bother me. I was a very fortunate person where I didn't have to do IVF or I wasn't struggling for years and years, but a lot of people are. So leave them alone. Right. Don't ask dumb questions like that. I'm sorry. I'm being super judgy about this.
I love it.
It makes me super mad though, because people would ask me and it didn't bother me in a way of like, oh, do I look pregnant? Because whatever. Or like I wasn't struggling internally. So when they said that, it didn't hurt my insides and my heart. You know, like I've been struggling for a year and I'm not telling you when. It wasn't anything like that. It was like.
Just none of your business.
First of all, none of your business. But second of all, no, I'm just not drinking because I don't want to.
Right.
Like that's
also
a thing. A legitimate reason. I know that is a thing, people.
Right.
But that again goes back to it being so just common.
Yeah, it really is. And you really notice it. For me, at least, the second I stopped drinking, and Zoe, you are integral to me not drinking anymore. That conversation that we had on that walk is it was the tipping point for me where everything kind of started to change with me. And it still took me 2.5, 3 years to stop drinking after that conversation with you. But it's just interesting to me how life happens, that you go have a walk with a friend and something happens that starts to change your life.
Yeah. It's like a seed planted. I remember you sharing that with me. And I had a seed planted with that friend with a walk.
Yeah. It just was like, and I'll be honest, I was like, well, if Zoe can do this, I can. Not because I was like, Zoe's a raging alcoholic, so if she could do it, I can. It wasn't that, but just because you and I are similar in so many ways. Yeah. People, if you only knew, maybe we'll get to that today.
Maybe.
You know, but it was like, I see the value in this, but I need a friend to know about it. Like I always need sort of like a partner or someone.
So doing it by yourself, I mean, they say that in AA, right? Like you can't do it by yourself. My belief from my own path has been if I didn't share it with at least one person, like like my husband Jonas has been like side by side with me the whole way, and like with moments where I've been like, he'll check in or he'll be like, "Do you want to talk about this?" Like if I didn't have at least one person to say like all the truths to, then I couldn't do it. Right. And that's my feeling of like, I couldn't do it by myself. And luckily I have more than just my husband. I have you. I have a handful of other friends who have been really supportive and let me make my way through to a point where I think this is probably the first time I'm like publicly talking about it.
Really?
Or posted on Facebook about it. Well, and I'll be honest with you. And you can post, obviously you please, put this podcast out into the world because I do believe that it'll help and it's healing to me too. But I've really wanted to keep this close to my chest for a long time. And the reason being is that I think we are so quick to, obviously I think every human being is, me included. So put me in the category of the same. But we're so quick to judge each other and assume and think we know. And I just have never wanted anyone's opinion to cloud this joy and this commitment and this wonderful step toward health that I've made for myself. Right. I've never wanted everyone to be like, oh, I knew you're an alcoholic the whole like, screw you. I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't want anyone's opinion. Yes. I didn't want, especially Facebook because all the opinions. But I do believe that the older I get, the more I'm just like, I don't know, the more I have people like you in my life who are willing to go there, who show me via a podcast about something very surface level in comparison to like sobriety, about like, not that your experience with, you know, that theater company was not painful or deep, right?
No, I know what you're saying.
That, you know, you're willing to go there too. So it helps people. What you do every day in this podcast helps people come forth.
Thank you.
I think so.
That's what I want. You know, and in fact, I think my second podcast is about that. Like, people share their journeys in different ways. You don't need to start a podcast. You don't need to post, you know, I happen to do those things. Yeah. But we always feel so isolated, and we are sometimes, but there's always someone there that can help you or just stand by you. And, you know, there's always, so that's why I shares. It's just like, hey, I'm a human doing human stuff and feeling human things. And so are you. So let's like do this together.
Right. Well, and it breaks down walls. Right. It breaks down, you know, the barriers of connection, which I think is the reason we're on this earth. Is
exactly.
To help each other and hold each other.
I do too. I love that. Say that again. The reason why we're on this earth
is connection, relationship connection, but also just to help each other and hold space for each other.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. The reason why we're here on earth is to help each other and to hold each other. I love that. I love that.
I mean, and I think we are so conditioned to do the opposite.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, going back to the statement I made about judgment, you know, one phrase, and I put this in my bio, and the reason it's sticking out for me, and I want to say it again because I think it's just crucial. And I know it's not, Ted Lasso didn't say this, but it stuck out to me while watching that show, which by the way, when it was done, I was like, well, my life is over.
I know. Didn't you feel like you lost your friends? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch it again. It's so good.
So good. And I thought season 3 wasn't going to be so great, but
loved it.
So just like, it just tugged at every heartstring. But in the first season, when he's in that scene in the bar and he's playing darts with Rupert and Rupert. I
don't know.
Who knows anymore?
I think it's Rupert. I don't know.
Rupert.
It was Rupert.
It's not Rupert. But let's pretend like
that's the guy from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Ruprecht.
Oh,
right.
Well, I just mixed them up. No.
Okay, so he's playing darts in the bar with the owner of the other team.
Yes. The douche nozzle who we don't like anymore. I am 40, but I do use phrases like that sometimes. And
I just had a snoodle-doodle.
Oh my gosh, with paprika on it.
Yes.
You're never going to stop saying that now, by the way. So when he's throwing darts, he says something about how his father taught him the phrase, be curious, not judgmental. And I just like, if we could just pause and not go to assumption, to judgment, and go into how can I ask a question that'll help me understand more? I'm like, how can I learn? Like, my husband and I struggle with this, and we've worked this. We've been together for 14 and a half years. Hi, Snowball.
Snowball is so sad.
And
she can't have cookies.
I know. I'm sorry, but you can live vicariously through us.
Okay. That sounds fine. That was me trying to be my dog.
I know.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you understood.
Yeah, but so like, because I think it's just a human condition to assume, because we're, again, talking about this earlier, life is going, you know, by us and at us a million miles an hour. And sometimes the best we can do is assume it so we can just continue to move on and continue to move forward. And if we could could we just slow down? I don't know the answer to how that could happen. Mm-hmm. Because I think we are in way over our heads as human beings in terms of like tech and social media and the internet and all the things. But
yeah, it's too much.
It's too much.
It's here to help us, and it does in many ways, but it also harms us.
Totally. And I think I was hopeful during a pandemic that like slowing down was going to happen.
Oh yeah, I was like, this is how it's going to be, you guys.
And here we are.
We're worse than we were.
Mm-hmm. And I think if we could slow down, if we could stop and not react, which would help us not assume, because truthfully, like, I try really hard, and again, not perfect, but try really hard to understand that I don't know what's going on in someone else's life, but also, that was a little bit of, did you hear that?
Dude, you just burp. What was that? Acid reflux?
It wasn't acid. It was a burp that didn't become a burp.
So what? It's like a burr.
A burp that never was.
Hey y'all, I really want you to get in on this incredible collaboration we have going on right now with Jensen Natural Jewelry. Right now, if you use the code Nickie20, NICKIE20, you get 20% off your entire purchase at Jensen Natural Jewelry. I have so many gorgeous items from Chris Jensen's collection. I have beautiful mini bead bracelets. I have an anklet. I have a gorgeous necklace that is a slice of carnelian stone. I would love for you to check out Chris's work. It's absolutely beautiful. Purchase a gift for yourself or a loved one. Don't forget that Mother's Day is coming up really, really soon. And check it out, jensennaturalJewelry.com, code Nikki20.
So I try not to assume what someone else is going through, but I also have to remind myself too that that person may not even know what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like, so there's so many layers to like the assuming, and it just gets us into so much trouble. And I think so much conflict would just be not even resolved, but just like not here. If we could just ask more questions,
pause,
clarify, or just not even ask questions, just sit and be. Like, I'm the worst because I talk all the time. So I was about to say, like, we need to stop talking so much. I talk all the time. Like, I can't stop talking. But one of my biggest goals as a human being is to listen more than I talk. And that's a work in progress.
Right. Listen before you speak.
Mm-hmm.
Pause before you speak.
Yeah. And
that's hard.
It is really hard, especially since I think we're all just trying to be as efficient as possible. And sometimes the desire to be efficient gets in the way of our ability to really, stay connected and present with the person we're with.
Yes.
Ugh. Which is why I was so excited to come here today. I mean, I probably will have to leave at some point. I can't move in like I promised I would.
You can move in.
I can't. I got things.
All right.
Like I have to fold my socks later. So,
you don't really need to fold your socks. Just throw them in there all willy-nilly.
You don't know.
I don't. What did you learn about yourself once you stopped drinking? Or did you learn anything new? Like I am learning. So I'm only not to belittle my journey because I'm kicking ass. I'm almost at 500 days. That's awesome. I'm very proud of myself. Thank you. And it's also still very new.
Yeah.
It's still very new. I didn't realize how many things I was covering up. Like I didn't, when I was drinking, I knew to a certain extent that I was wanting to not feel some things, but I didn't realize until I stopped how much I had been covering up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like it's almost like your body was like, holy crap, you just opened the floodgates.
Exactly. And it's still sort of coming, you know, with my illnesses, which you and I both share
know a lot about. Yeah.
Zoe is the person I've said in my podcast before, I have one person and that person is Zoe because
it's me.
We both have,
I'm the problem.
You're the problem. It's you. Because we both have the same illnesses that were diagnosed almost the exact same time.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So I had been covering up some physical pain, some fatigue stuff, but also just, a bunch of mental health stuff that I'm glad that it is, I'm glad that it's opened up like this new world that I can take care of other things now. Yeah. But it also in a way has been like, God, if I was still drinking, I wouldn't have to deal with this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. It was a Laura McCohen Zoom call I was on, and someone said, what I would really like right now is just a fuck it button. Can I just have a fuck it button, please?
Yes.
I don't care what it is. Just can I have one?
Yeah.
And that's a feeling I have sometimes. It's I wish I could find me a way to tune this out that doesn't go against my mission statement or you know what I mean? I would love a way to just disappear from whatever this feeling is.
Yeah.
Snowball
is so sad. I need anyone listening to know that this dog is just fine.
Yep.
She has a lot of food and treats and a lot of space
to the backyard
to roam. But she's not in the same room as us. So that is what the problem is.
We are the worst.
We are the worst people. Oh my gosh. Okay, try to tune it out if you can.
Yeah. Well, she's going away. She heard you.
Oh, she heard you. Shit, that's a joke because Snowball's deaf.
Oh, that is a... Oh,
you didn't? I thought you were making a deaf joke.
Know that. I did know that. And now I'm feeling like a poop stain.
Oh,
no!
Specifically, the stain of the
not
poop.
Specifically. Let's move on.
I'm gonna move on by having a bite of this cookie.
The brownie one, please.
No, this one.
Oh yeah, that one's really good. The milkshake one. Okay, so to answer your question.
Sorry, I just hit the microphone with my cookie.
How dare. I feel
good.
It's really good. Like that to me is a birthday cake.
Yeah, there's nothing to me that says like this tastes like a milkshake specifically.
No, most definitely not.
It's very good
cakey.
and vanilla-y.
It's like my dream.
But you're
dessert.
right. It's like a birthday cake.
Like I'm 5 years old. I like the desserts I like are the desserts that my 5-year-old likes.
I love that. You have kind of a sweet tooth. So do I.
I do. It's bad. Well, you know what my doctor said recently?
What?
Listen to what my doctor said. My doctor said that the reason I crave so much sweet is because my body is exhausted and it thinks like having a sugar rush or sugar hit is going to keep me up.
That makes sense. Right? Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe I wonder if that. I'll talk to my doctor. Okay.
The reason I eat so much sweets, doctor. Just tell. Don't ask. Just
say
tell
I
your
know
doctor
something.
That you know.
Okay, you were saying
when
something awesome, but I don't remember what it was because I was getting a cookie.
Awesome. I was going to try to answer the question because I don't know. You had asked me that before we started recording, and I don't know necessarily if I know exactly how stopping drinking has helped me heal and grow. And and that's not to say that it's not something I'm really grateful I've done. And then I'm not going to continue to do it. And I think I think that if I work it out here, which is how I end up working things out a lot of the time is externally.
Yeah, me too.
It'll work itself out. So let's do it. I feel emotionally and mentally like it's helped me open myself up to doing a lot of self-work that I could not do. Like my brain would not be capable of doing if I were drinking in any way, like casually or excessively, whatever. Like I just feel like it almost 2 years, I felt like my brain kind of like expanded. And
that's what you said earlier.
Yeah.
Can you expand on your expansion?
I sure can. I just felt like it was almost spiritual. Like I just felt like I was having conversations with my husband that were deeper. And not that like our relationship had gotten deeper. I noticed it within myself that I was able to identify, articulate, immerse myself in feelings that were just on a deeper, more emotional level than ever before. And if you know me, I'm an emotional person. And if you don't know me, I'm an emotional person. Like that's something I'll never deny. Like I'm just very emotionally in tune. I'm highly sensitive. And so to feel like I had kind of like hit like a deeper level of self was like really cool.
Wow.
I felt like maybe the way you could put it is like the space in my brain or in my life that had been occupied by drinking in whatever way was now available for things that were important to me, which was like learning about myself, right?
Yeah.
And learning how to be a good human or a better human. I mean, I've always just wanted to be the best self I can be on a daily basis. And I think self-work and being active in your own self-growth is essential to being a good citizen, a good human, like in whatever relationship you're in, but obviously most importantly, your relationship with your own self in your life. So that it was kind of this opening, for lack of a better term. Funny enough, like around that time where I was like, I'm going to stop drinking, I was like, I hope that it gives me energy because I was really struggling with fatigue. And I was also working a really intense, kind of big time for me job in a corporate setting up until COVID. I was laid off and my job was dissolved. And I loved my job, but I was overworked, overstretched, overstimulated, and not necessarily 100% because of the job or the position or the company I was working for, but because like I want to say was, but I still am struggling with perfectionism and like really wanting to make everything I do the best. And I think I really felt that on a very physical level. So like I was like, oh, if I stop drinking, maybe I'll just like get a boost of energy because people do say you do get a boost of energy. No, not for me.
Right. And I'm going to jump in here too because that's another thing I thought I've been so tired my whole life. Think of the energy that I'm going to get.
You and me both.
I'm going to lose some weight.
Yeah.
My life is only going to be better because I stopped drinking. And that part's true. I think my life is better because I stopped drinking.
Me too.
But it just exacerbated the fatigue. Or maybe not exacerbated. That is such an interesting.
It opened it up.
It was wait a second. I don't have any more energy. And everyone that with the exception of you that I know that has quit drinking has been like, yeah, my energy went up and I was happier. And I think that's enough. Well, wait, what happened first? Did I quit drinking or did I find out that I had MECFS? I think I quit. I don't know. I think anyway,
the MECFS was it.
I think that was before
May diagnosis, and then it was over the holidays when you stopped drinking.
It was December 19th. Yeah, you're right.
From my recollection, but
Zoe remembers dates. Like
I do.
She does. Well, I think you actually probably write stuff down because all of a sudden
I do.
You'll like call me and be like, "Oh my God, it's your parakeet's birthday," and I'm like, "Oh shit, it is." That was just an example, you guys. I don't have a parakeet, but I used to when I was a kid. His name was Peter.
I loved Peter.
Peter Parakeet. There was a book about it.
That's actually really cute. By the way, guys, side note, I did not know Peter Parakeet. I just made a joke about it, but.
Shouldn't know. Sure it down.
But now I'm going to ask you about his birthday. I'll probably send you a
I don't know when it is. But like, that's another reason why I was like, wait, something is off with me because I just got rid of this drug that I've been taking.
Yeah.
And my mind feels a little clearer, but my body doesn't feel any better at all.
Yep. And like you said, again, I want to be super clear on this podcast. Like, I think the majority of people get a lot of energy back and do lose weight and like feel better just physically and mentally. And I think you and I are the anomaly. I think we just ended up being kind of dealt the crap hand of cards where it's like, well, yeah, you got that. I mean, good job. And now you get to struggle a little bit more.
But you're also sick.
But you're going to realize that pretty badly in the next couple of years. Well, what I will say though, and obviously like we have not gotten into any depth in regards to like how challenging, struggles of health have been for me and for you over the past couple of years. But what I will say is I'm like, if this has been easy for me, if I've been able to stick with this through a pandemic, which you can look at it either way, it was easy to not drink because we weren't going out, right? But it was also hard.
There's nothing else to do.
Right? But at the same time, like I would say the past 2 years have been the hardest 2 years of my life. And saying that is for me saying something. I've had a substantial amount of trauma in my life, and to highlight a time of your life as like the hardest time that you've ever experienced, like that's heavy for me. But what I will say is like the fact that I haven't wanted to or like had any inkling of like, oh, I should grab a bottle of wine or whatever it may be, like that to me is a testament for like A, how easy it's been, but B, like how dedicated I am to my health and healing at this point in my life, and that I don't know necessarily if like stopping drinking made my physical ailments or problems come to the surface more. I don't know.
Right.
That could have
sure.
happened.
Right.
But what I can say is that I've been able to face my struggles with more grace. I've been able to face my growth and my healing mentally more so than physically in a way that like I'm like if I would drink and then express like how I felt, it was always like, I don't know, just like the crappiest way to communicate this, just like way over the top. And that was probably like one of my biggest drawbacks from drinking is I felt like I would drink and then maybe get super emotional. Right. And like, I make it sound like it's like whatever, but it wasn't whatever. Like that's not a healthy way to communicate with anyone. And so I feel like the way I approach any situation now is with such consciousness that I would not have had 4 years ago, and I'm able to handle things just differently.
Right.
I don't know.
You're able to, what we were talking about earlier was like practice the pause. Like, hold on, I can pause here.
Yeah.
I can pause here and think rationally.
Yeah.
I still get cravings. I'm never like, ooh, I could go for a delicious Pinot. It's not that. I sometimes still just don't want to feel. Like I had a situation last week where I knew I wasn't going to drink.
Yeah.
And I texted Paul and I was like, hey, I'm not going to drink, but I just want you to know that I really want to right now.
Yeah.
And we were actually going to go to a party. We went to a party. I bring my own drinks to parties, but I wanted someone to know.
I'm not laughing at that.
I'm struggling.
Footnote on that.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you continue.
No, I was just saying that has happened. In fact, one day I'm going to look back on this particular year, which I'll get more in depth about in the future. And I'm going to say, wow, you did all of that sober.
Yes.
Good for
100%,
you.
100%, Nikki.
Yeah.
And I don't even know the depths of the struggles of the past year. And I feel like I know a lot of the stuff that you've been through.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, if for me in my personal life, if no one else gives me affirmation, like, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. High five every single day of my life because I'm doing the work. And so are you.
Yep.
And I see you, like I see that. And I see how hard life has kind of been over the past year or two to you and that you're still showing up every day. Like that in and of itself, like you're an amazing person. And I would say that, I would say that off the microphone as well.
Well, honestly,
Okay.
I don't cry for me. Why did I pick that song?
Because you're about to cry and I was thinking it too.
I don't know where I'd be right now if it wasn't for your friendship the past couple of years specifically.
Yeah.
When literally you are the only person that I have been able to tell everything to and to not be judged. You know, I tell many things to Paul. Paul's an incredible person. He's an incredible listener. He truly is. He's an excellent partner. And he doesn't understand.
And I know you don't expect him to.
No, of course not. Yeah. And I'm sort of glad that he doesn't because I don't want anyone to understand what
I say the same thing
these things are like for us, you know, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, poor us, but I'm also just saying like, it really effing sucks.
Yeah.
So you're the only person that I just tell everything to. And I am so grateful. I hate that we've been going through this stuff. It's so weird though, because I won't get into the details, but I texted Zoe about 2 weeks ago about another thing that I will feel free to talk about in the future. And I was like, hey, this thing. And Zoe texts back 2 minutes later, oh my God, I just talked to my doctor about this today. And I'm like, oh crap, we got another thing we got to do.
Gosh.
So yeah, I'm so glad that we have each other.
Yeah, me too.
I wish it was under different circumstances, but like,
yeah. I mean, the way I see it, now I'm getting teary, is that we had each other, you know, at the Pantages, and when we had each other at the Chanhassen, and then, you know, we've had each other through weddings and losses and births and like, so like,
yeah, it's been years of stuff, right?
Like major life changes. Yeah. And then now we're in this really weird time frame where it's like, we're both not only on this sickness, bullshit, illness path, but we're also on this, like, I want to be healthy path, which not everyone is on, right? It's just like, that's a sad truth.
I want to be healthy, but I also want to eat these cookies.
You know what? Everyone's got to have a vice. If mine is, if mine's cookies, then like, wah, wah. I've tried no sugar. It's just not a sustainable. I mean, I've had a couple bites. You had a couple bites. We're moderation, right?
Yeah, everything in moderation. We're going to justify everything.
Anyway, all I want to say is, like, I really think that, and I'm not trying to, toxic positivity is just the last thing I ever want to throw at anyone or receive myself.
Right.
But I do believe that whatever the next stage or chapter holds, like, we've got this. And like we've had a pre-life, we've had this current life, and whatever the post looks like together, we're going to be together. And that's that's the cool part for me is that like, even if it's, hey, this is how your life is going to be the rest of your life, then you and I are going to find ways to deal together. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I do. We can do it.
That's a gift, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Can I leave it on one extra note?
Yeah.
The reason I giggled before and I told you I wasn't laughing at you.
Oh, yeah. What I said something.
You did. You said you brought your own drinks to parties.
Oh, yeah.
I do the same thing. And thank goodness there are so many good like NA options.
There really are.
Yes. Except by the by, I went to Disney World last week, everyone. Their NA options in Epcot are like bottled water. You're like, no, negatory. I mean, they have a few.
We're going to change that.
But it's like 7 alcoholic drinks and then bottled water. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. But it reminds me of one of my favorite comedians, John Mulaney.
Yeah.
You know John Mulaney, right?
Well, because you're always like, have you seen this video by John Mulaney? And the answer is no.
Okay. I'm going to butcher it right now because I am not a comedian. I like to think so, but I'm really not. But he has this whole, I think it's like on his second or third special. He has 4 of them. You're going to now want to watch all of them because he's really good.
Okay.
But he has been sober for many, many years. But then he just went to rehab like a year ago for a different addiction for Coke. I mean, it's all kind of combined. But anyway, this was before he went to rehab for Coke. But he was sober from alcohol for many, many years. And he was like, it's funny to go to parties because like people just don't know how to deal with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is way before like the sober curious movement has happened over the past few years. And he's like, I'll walk in a party and people will be like, hey, Mulaney's here. Hey, I got a turnip in the fridge. Would that be good for you? Like, they don't know what to offer him.
Don't know what to do.
That is so true.
Right.
Like, they're like, I know you don't drink. There's a turnip. I know you don't drink. It's really good. You have to watch it now.
We were at a party not too long ago and everybody did a shot.
Oh, God.
And I was not offered a thing. And you know what? I would have. I didn't say anything at the time. I will next time. Yeah. Just the other day, we were with friends and they wanted to do a shot. So I was like, okay. So I had a shot of water and that was fine with me. And it was fun. Like, I still want to do the stuff. I know. I still want to toast.
Yes. You know what I do? So, and Jonas does it with me now too. We'll have like sparkling water or like an Olipop for dinner or like, whatever. And we'll put it in wine glasses.
Yes. Because it's fun and it's fancy.
And you know what? Like, my kids are into it too. They're like, ooh. Yeah. It's just, whatever. It's, you realize it's like more of like the going out thing that you want to be a part of. Like, for me, any cravings I've had have been like, I wish I could be invited to XYZ. Yes. Or I wish I could go on the balcony and have like a glass of wine with my husband. But it's not about the wine. It's about the experience.
It's the moment. Yep. It's about the moment. And even though we don't drink, we still like to have the moment.
You recreate it in whatever way you can. So next time they do a shot, you and I are just going to whip out our water bottles and chug.
I'll be like, chug, chug, chug.
We're doing it.
I'm so hydrated.
It sucks for you because you're exactly the opposite.
Okay, this was fun. We're going to wrap it up for today, but Zoe and I have 1,000 other things to talk about.
Like just a bajillion. I'm sorry.
We're just going to start recording all of our conversations.
Yeah. You know what I think we should do?
What?
I think we should have a reality TV show. And people should just follow us around. Except for the reality TV show would be like 2 separate cameras in 2 separate houses all the time.
Us just canceling plans with each other.
And then not just that, but like one person being like, hey, Nikki, I can't come today. And you being like, yes. 100%.
Oh, I hope you feel okay.
Oh my gosh, I feel that to my core.
Zoe and I cancel on each other constantly.
And I get really mad and judged. No, we don't. We never judge each other. Yeah, we do it all the time. It's a safe space.
It is. And I can just tell her, here's why, I don't feel well. My body hurts.
And I get really mad. And I'm like, oh shit, me too.
Yeah, no problem. All right. I love you.
Love you so much.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
I'm so honored, honestly.
I've been have you back.
Looking forward to this since like the day you... Didn't I text you like, when can I come?
Yeah, it was like a year ago. Yeah, you did. I'm glad that you did. All right, everybody. Smooches to you all. As always, thanks for healing and growing with me. Mwah. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, health, or professional advice. I am not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. This podcast is not intended to replace professional medical advice.